welcome into another edition of State Champs Face Off. It's our lacrosse show. So glad you could join us. My name is Sean Baligian, along with the coach, the head coach at Orchard Lake St. Mary's, Greg Durham. And Coach, this is do or die time, both on the boys' side and the girls' side. There's been some fantastic action so far, and certainly more to come.
Yes. Unfortunately for my team, we lost in the regional semis to a really good, talented, athletic Stony Creek team. And they had the luxury of playing Cranbrook last night, and they eventually lost to Cranbrook. Cranbrook is on a roll right now, and I'm really excited for Cranbrook. I'm excited for JD Hess, who's a great coach, and he's really got that team going forward. But it's really just good, solid lacrosse. I watched last night. I also went and watched the game. I went and watched my daughter play Brighton for the regional semis, and Brighton's just a well-oiled machine. They're just playing really well. They got a lot of young players. We talked to their coach earlier in the season, and it's just one of the things is that you just see teams stepping up now and just getting rolling. And it's really nice to see because you got teams like Clarkston that are rolling. You got Cranbrook. You got CC, who's played an unbelievable schedule at the end, and they just keep winning. They won last night, I think, 18-0. So the regional finals are going to be a mix of teams that are like heavy, that they're gonna steamroll some teams, and then you got games like the Cranbrook game, which was a little bit closer. You're going to have some other teams too, but I think for the most part, most of the leaders of that of the region, the one seeds, are probably going to walk away with that region. At least in the boys division, the girls is going to be a little bit different because it's more balanced, I think. But overall, you got a lot of great lacrosse. And speaking of a lot of great lacrosse, if nobody watched this weekend, the NCAA's, I saw some great games. I mean, just absolutely. The girls on Friday, their semifinal, Syracuse and Northwestern. What a game. It's just back in BC and Syracuse. And then Northwestern, I watched that game with the girls. My daughter and I were watching. Izzy Skane is just, Michigan native from Cranbrook, just dominating, just relentless riding. I mean, if you're a young girl and you want to learn how to play lacrosse and you want a player to look at, watch Izzy Skane play. I mean, it's just she doesn't just offensively, she's defensive. She's just all over the field, just, hustle. And one of the things I always tell kids, it's effort and attitude. If you have effort and attitude and you can beat the talent, do it every time because it's gonna get you somewhere. And you saw, Notre Dame won the national title for the boys. I've never seen a team in my entire life ride like they do. Their attackmen, and they had two attackmen that were hurt. They were just relentless, and that's the word of the weekend, relentless. I've never seen teams just if you turn the ball over or the goalie makes a great save, your job is to get it back. And those guys got opportunity after opportunity, and Notre Dame just out hustle, outplayed, just beat Duke. Now, granted, Duke came back and tied it up, and I mean there's another relentless. They came back, they never gave up. But just the thrive of Notre Dame and the Kavanaugh brothers, and just to see them play that hard and that well, it was amazing. And I remember one face-off in the game, if anybody has watched it, there was a face-off that the ground ball lasted about 30, 35 seconds. They battled for that long just to win a GB. And it was just, that's what the game is really about, just winning those small battles. And then the offenses and defenses take over, and the goalies, Notre Dame's goalie played unbelievable too. But it's just overall just to see just great lacrosse coming, and and some Michigan people, Michigan names are involved in that too. So that was really special to see.
I think it's important to mention the next level too, because Coach, quite frankly, I mean, so many of the people that we're talking about today on both sides, both on the girls and the boys side, are going to be moving to the next level. And that's certainly the level that they want to aspire to. And, you've seen programs changing, you much like in this state, look, you have the usual suspects and you know who's going to be there at the collegiate level. You know who's going to be there here at the high school level. But you know what? As more players start to come in, some teams kind of introduce themselves as part of the usual suspects eventually. And, you keep doing those things and you keep being, here's the word of the day, relentless. And that's how you become one of those usual suspects.
Yeah, it's just something. It's great to see these kids. It's all hard work. I mean, talking to people. One specific player in girls is Melina Cotter. She plays at Salem. Uh, she has, I know from just talking to people, not even talking to her, talking to coaches and people that are involved in lacrosse about how hard of a worker she is, the work is. And here she is. She's going to go to Syracuse. And she's only a junior. She's already committed to Syracuse, but that's just unheard of from Michigan players. And it just shows you that kind of stride, that the relentlessness, that you're going to be, you're thriving to do what you want. You've got goals to reach what you really want to be, and to go to a great school like Syracuse and play lacrosse, the game you love. Kudos to her. I met her a couple times. She's a great kid. And I would really look forward to seeing her at the next level, but she's still going to be in the state of Michigan for another year because she's got to play her senior year. But that's just one person, and you have other players too, just up and down the line. I mean, there's so many boys that I could tell you about right now that are just ready to go to that next level and play that next level, and it's pretty cool to see. You got there's so many guys I can't even think of, like Sirik, like Jack Sirik's going to go to UMBC. I mean, awesome. I mean, and he was thinking about going to Air Force and things like that. And then UMBC fell in his lap. And it's just like, hey, he worked so hard to get to that point. Here he is. He's going to go to UMBC. You've got his teammate, Cal Tobby, going to Jacksonville. You just lots of different guys going different places. It's just so exciting to see. And you hear about that. And, like get back to the NCAA, you hear about guys, that just come back. They want to play hard for their schools, their state schools, whether it's Michigan or UDM or even go to the D3. You got Albion. We have so many great places in the state of Michigan that guys can find a home at if they work really hard and get there. And it's awesome to see.
Well, you talked a little bit about the chalk, and in just a moment, we're going to have a special guest on who knows a little bit about lacrosse and knows a little bit about a big matchup coming up. But, you talk a little bit about the chalk and the teams that you expected to be there. I know I'll get your back. You've been talking up Cranbrook for a while saying, hey, look out for this team. This team's headed in the right direction. When you take a look at the girls' side in particular and maybe a closer look at the west side, Coach, anything jump out to you, or do you think things have gone pretty much as projected?
Pretty much as projected. I saw Brighton played last night, and I was really impressed with them. I know they struggled in the beginning of the season. I know they have a lot of young players, like I mentioned. They look really solid, and they look like a well-oiled machine, and they never let up. And they ride hard, and they work hard, and they hustle, and that's what you want from a team. It's sort of like like Clarkston. Clarkston's that team. Lake Orion's that team for the boys' side. You've got Country Day. They're young, and that they're probably the number one team in the state in Division Two. Forest Hill Central. I talk about them every year, but it's like they just replace them with another person that's exactly the same, and they all play the same. But it's part of their cultures. I mean, I mentioned this. It's the culture of these programs that are building. These coaches put a lot of time and effort to getting kids to buy in, to believe in themselves. And, and not only that, it's not always about lacrosse like you and I talked about before, Sean. It's more about, hey, what can I do to make myself a better person, a better human being, and apply those things to the great games.
Oh, it's outstanding. We've got a special guest coming up. Don't forget, we've got an update on our Warrior Lacrosse Player of the Year. We promised you changes. There's going to be a change. We heard you. We really heard you, and there's going to be a change, so stay tuned for that. All right, it's time once again for the Coach's Spotlight here on Face Off, the Lacrosse Show, State Champs Network. Not every day you get to be joined by a Hall of Famer, and I'm not trying to make him blush or anything like that, but certainly the man needs no introduction, certainly from the likes of me, but let's welcome him in. He is the head man at Clarkston. Let's welcome in Coach Kaminskas. Coach, first of all, really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're in the midst of yet another playoff run. Thanks for joining us here on Face Off.
Hey, again, thanks for having me here. I always enjoy getting on, talking with you guys for a few minutes. Always fun just to touch base and see what's going on in the lacrosse world with you guys.
Hey,
Well,
first two-time guest, Sean. First two-time guest here.
Hey, there you go. An
hey,
honor.
well, let's start with congratulations. Congratulations to you and your squad, Johnny Kidd, always on top of things. That he's got some highlights, back to back Division One boys lacrosse regional champions. Coach, as we take a look at some of the highlights here, congratulations, and that's got to feel awesome for you and the boys.
Yeah, you know what? The boys are humming. They're feeling really good about themselves, and I think they should. We're down a couple of key guys going into the stretch, and we'll be down them the rest of the season. So we had a couple of guys that haven't seen a lot of time come off the bench and a couple of games ago, and have just really been playing well, and they're clicking, and it's starting to show. So yeah, these guys are happy. They're pretty good. They're not satisfied, but they're definitely happy and ready to keep going.
Well, and it's one of those things, Coach, where as you mentioned, I mean, it seems like some of the adversity and guys being down, it seems like this group has really galvanized and it's brought them closer and dare I say, maybe made them even better.
I I think you're spot on. I mean, we only have 8 seniors, so and they're all on the field and they're all working, but they're also all year long. Since January, they're the guys pushing and holding the standard and moving the goalposts on the young guys. So when push comes to shove and we're in the stretch we're in like we are now, we're going to end up with good results because the guys that we have to count on, the young guys without the experience, they're going to step up and they're going to play, and that's what they've been doing.
It's such a grind each and every season, Coach. We were just talking before we went on the air. You're almost hoping for a little rain to kind of cool things off. I mean, this is one season, this lacrosse season, we see a little bit of everything. You get those freezing temperatures, maybe some snow mixed in, this incredible heat right now. This is just a grind. And to be playing your arguably best lacrosse of the season right now, that's not too shabby.
Yeah, you know what? It's hot. It's only getting hotter this week, and we're playing our toughest competition as well. We saw Lake Orion earlier in the year. I think they matched us stick for stick on the field. Frankly, they've got very good offensive players. They've got very good defensive players. And let's be honest, nobody likes to play a Ron Hebert coach team. Nobody likes to play a Ron Hebert coach team twice. So. We're going out this week. We're getting ready for the game, and we're gonna do our best to get used to the weather without beating ourselves up too much and stay healthy. So, definitely looking forward to Saturday. So that'll be fun.
Coach Brian Kaminskas joining us, of course, the head man at Clarkston here on the Lacrosse Show Face Off here on the State Champs Network. You know what? I think that leads me to the next question. What does the schedule look like when you've got temperatures hovering in the high 80s? And let's face it, we're all getting used to it. Not just the guys on the field. We're all getting used to it. It's harder on the guys on the field. What does the schedule look like? How do you prepare for a game like this, knowing the temperatures are going to be what they are?
So we're not altering our times or anything like that. We're going to go heat of the day like we normally do. Practice itself will be shorter. The guys know that. We're looking for maybe, an hour and 15-minute practice each day this week. Just kind of get them out, get them up and down the field, keep them loose. A couple of pointers, couple of keys that we're going to bring into the weekend that we'll go over slowly over the week, and that's it. We're all at the point of the season where there's not much more we're pulling out of the bag against each other. So it's who do you have, who can you line up, and let's roll the ball out and play.
Coach Durham, I'm sure you can relate to this. We often talk about weather and what a factor it is. And look, there's nothing you can do in this state. You just have to, as Coach Kaminskas said, you have to go out there and just prepare per usual.
Yeah, it's funny because last week I think we were wearing sweatshirts for the game. Like in our last game that we lost in the regional semis, it was cold. It was like 50, and then all of a sudden we hit this heat wave. And it's hard because, like Brian says, and especially when you play on turf, the turf is anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees hotter than most. And, some turfs are even hotter than that. It just depends on it. With the heat index, I know they had the tools. Most of the 80s had those tools out there to measure the heat, to make sure we keep our players safe. And you give them a lot of water breaks. I was at my daughter's game last night against Brighton, and they gave, in the middle of the game, water breaks. Right in the middle of the game, they just, hey, we're blowing the whistle. You know what? We're going to give everybody a 3-4 minute break, get some water, come back out, which I think is really smart. It might soften the flow of the game, but it's best to keep the kids healthy. And I know Brian, he does a great job of that, keeping his guys healthy and everything like that. And that's the most important thing, is keeping the kids healthy. But Brian, I know you talked about Ron. I mean, you got your challenge up ahead against you here with Lake Orion. What are you looking for? How is it going to be? I mean, that's going to be just an outstanding game. That might be the game of the week right there. What are you guys going to do to prepare for them, if anything? And what maybe are you looking for from Ron? Because you never know, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ron's going to have his chess pieces moving on the board in a different way than I'm sure we expect. We'll be doing the same thing. He's got, I mean, look, if Ron can do something, he can score goals. I mean, he's very, very good at finding the back of the net with multiple guys on the field. So, we're at the point of the season where the defense has to show up. They have to play. They've done it for us all year. We've only had 2 games all year. I believe we had a 10-goal game, an 11-goal game. So everything else has been sub 10. If we show up, we do that, I think we'll be okay. But no, I don't for a second expect to show up and see the same team, from Lake Orion that we saw a couple of weeks ago. It'll be totally different. They may be doing some of the same dance steps, but tendencies that we were used to will be gone. Something else will be there. And, it'll take us 30 minutes to catch up, I'm sure, with whatever he's doing out there, but we'll be ready. We'll also have our own tricks and things ready for him. So as long as we can keep him off kilter, we'll be okay.
And not even that, but talk about some of your guys that are just kind of just stepping up and playing real well. Like what names come to mind to you that, just leading your team and just standing out? Sure.
Well, let's talk about Blake first, right? Blake Berry. He's our face-off midfielder, and I call him that. You talk around the state and everybody says, hey, you're Fogo. Blake is, in no uncertain terms, not a Fogo. If he didn't take a face-off for us all year, he'd be a first-line midi. Plays offense, plays defense, and he faces off around 86% for the year. He went 15-2 last night, 17-1 the first time we played Grand Blanc. I'd have to look at his stats against Ron, but I think he only dropped 2. He's an absolute powerhouse on the field. He wins the ball, brings it down. He's looking at Nick Furman, our point man at attack, Zayden Green, our ex-man at attack. I mean, those guys, this young guys won't get this. It's like Laverne and Shirley out there. I mean, those guys can work together. Flip the other side of the ball. Yeah, I see. Right. I mean, nobody knows Laverne and Shirley anymore. Anyway, you go down to the other side of the field. Brady Earing, Gavin Pate, 2 absolutely, unbelievable pulls. I think Gavin's at 17 goals this year in transition for us. So, wow. we have a pull that can, All-American candidate. I mean, we've got a guy that can bring the ball down the field and score. We have no issues with him out with our offense, with our man up, whatever it may be. So, I think he scored 4 goals. And if I get this wrong, Gavin, I apologize. I think he scored 4 goals against Granville alone. I mean, we have players on the field. So we feel pretty confident about in the guys that we've got out there.
That's awesome. And if we could find a way to work in the big ragu, I think things would be even better with that Laverne and Shirley reference. But at least 3 of us know those references, and we'll leave it at that. Coach, anything surprise you about this team? I know you've been there, you've done that, but every year something kind of pops up. You talked about, this team overcoming some adversity. Anything surprise you about this club this year?
Truly, and I'll say this because I say it to these guys all the time. What surprises me is their ability to show up and work and get the job done. We had a very strong team last year, an extremely deep defensive group, and a very powerful and strong midfield group. And you talk to any coach you want in the state, and I guarantee you, none of them thought that we would turn around and have a year like we're having. And, as coaches, you talk, just amongst your own staff, and you say, hey, we have this hole to fill and we have this hole to fill. And these guys are filling it. I mean, have filled it for that matter. And again, with only 8 seniors, we're relying on, we have 2 freshmen that we're running through and sophomores we're running through. So the leadership on the field has been second to none. And these guys are pushing each other every day. I mean, more so than we're doing it. So I have nothing but upside with these guys and zero complaints.
And Sean, the biggest thing, let's be honest, is like, it's not just the kids, it's the culture that Brian's established for the longest period of time. One of the longest running head coaches around. I mean, seriously, he doesn't take enough credit. He deserves all of it. He has an unbelievable culture at Clarkston. He's within the community constantly, and that just stems from the whole thing. And it's not always about lacrosse, like we talked about before. With Brian, he's producing great young men and guys that want to be there every day. That's all.
That's kind of you to say. But I'm only there because nobody else will hire me. Let's be honest.
Hey, Coach, I know you guys got to hit the field. Best of luck to you in your preparation. And I'll echo what Coach Durham said. This is one of the can't miss matches, certainly of the entire playoff. Best of luck to you and your Wolves. It's been a tremendous season so far, and we wish you all the best and hoping that it continues for you guys.
I appreciate it very much. Again, thank you guys for having me on. It's always a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. Highlight of my day.
Thanks, Brian. Great
Coach
job.
Kaminskas at Clarkston kindly joining us here on the State Champs Network. Well, it's time now for our Warrior Lacrosse Player of the Year, and we can't thank our title sponsor enough, our friends at Warrior, for making this happen. Coach, you are finding out up close and personal what a difficult proposition this is. Folks, this is no joke, okay? About 20 minutes ago, we were still debating about who is going to be on this top 10 list. And don't forget, we only have a couple days until we freeze this. So this was very difficult, but we promised changes, and we have a change on the list. Coach, you asked around, and there was a name that, quite frankly, couldn't be ignored any longer.
No, it's not like I heard from one coach. I've heard from several. We added the long stick midi, Sam Snyder from Forest Hill Central. Just an absolute terror on the field lately. He's just been proven over and over again against some of the best teams in the state and in the Midwest. So it's really, congratulations on getting added to the list.
Well, and here's the thing we have to remind people is you take a look at that list right there, and you can be a part of this. Go vote early, vote often, do what you need to do, because whoever wins the online vote is automatically catapulted into our Final Four. And just a reminder, in just a couple days, this top 10 is going to freeze. That's right. It freezes after the quarters on Friday. So automatically, the online winner is one of the 4. And then, Coach Durham, we have the arduous process of trying to figure out 3 more names to go on this list. And I'll tell you what, just to echo something we've been saying all year long, if anything, this is a testament to the caliber of play and the caliber of player in this state right now, that this is such a tough proposition.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at the list and all of these guys, you hear their names constantly. You see their names in the paper. Just a bunch of great leaders, great young men, just playing great lacrosse. And most of those guys are still going strong. They're playing really well, and it's great to see. And it's going to be an exciting quarterfinals coming up. And then after the quarters, I mean, the best games are going to be those semis. And it's coming right down the state championship. Division I is going to be just it's awesome. And you just just thinking about this, you think about Clarkston Lake Orion. What a great game that's going to be. You got one of the best face-off guys, midfielders around. He's playing really well. And eventually, if we get down to the finals or the semis, you're going to see Heartland play CC. That's going to be, if that happens, that's going to be unbelievable. I mean, that's going to be a great game. You got Evan Busby, you got Sirik, you got other players too that we can even go through. Both those teams are loaded with great players, but it's awesome to see some of these guys step up to the plate. And when a game matters, they're playing hard. And, you just keep going. You can go up the line. You got Ben Eck, who's just tearing it up for Rice. You've got Caden Daly, who's, their best attackman at Country Day. You got all kinds of guys. You'll see Kellen Russell Dixon. They'll be playing against Cranbrook in the quarterfinal. That should be great because their first game was really close. And, and I know Russell. I played against Kellen Russell Dixon, and that kid is just one of the best athletes I've seen this year. You're just going to see just great performances from these guys stepping up, and it's really great to see that these guys can just do what they do and they do what they love.
So this is last call. We freeze them after the quarters on Friday. So this is your last call. Go to our website. There are the names. Vote for whoever your choice is, and whoever wins the online vote gets in automatically into our Final Four. That is the Warrior Lacrosse Player of the Year update. Hey, Coach, good luck to all the teams in the quarterfinals. It's been a fantastic season. It's not over yet. We'll be there all the way, Coach.
Yeah, and good luck to the girls in their semifinal and finals, too, as well. It should be great.
Thanks for watching once again. Good luck to all the boys and girls out there. This is Face Off, the lacrosse show on the State Champs Network.
State Champs Face Off is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious. Make magic. Visit ltu.edu. Face Off is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud sponsor of the MHSAA. Warrior Lacrosse, Michigan-based, Michigan-built. Visit warrior.com. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Male and Female Athlete of the Year Awards. Who will be this year's award winners? Find out live June 5th only on the State Champs Sports Network.